Alright, so I've now finished testing all the new exclusive skills added in Tides of Terraria. We're starting with Hydro Spin. Not a super interesting one, it does move around, so it could potentially cause the Pal to do a little bit of dodging, but it has a very specific range where it works. It just does a single hit, so it's a little bit... It's there, it exists. Then we have Lantern Sweep. Probably one of the letdowns. I did breed a couple of maxed one of these because it kind of just looked cool. But it's basically just this whip attack, also a very specific range where it works, tends to miss quite a bit depending on what the enemy is doing. And it also has this kind of short range where the pal needs to move into range before using it, which is always a little bit of a downside. Scorching Lantern Sweep, exactly the same thing but just fire instead. And suffers from the same thing. The pal needs to move close to use it. Depending on what Victor is doing, it will also miss, like when he's lifting from the ground and stuff like that. So overall, the two Lantern Sweep skills, not super good. You're better off using a couple of skill fruits there. Then we have Penking Looks with Thunder Slide. A pretty fun skill, but overall just again, this single tackle. And it suffers from having quite a high cooldown, actually. So it doesn't get used very often, like if you're doing it in raids and stuff like that. Not super sure when it's gonna be useful, and it also suffers a little bit from like this, when Penking just slides far away, and then he's kind of has to move back if he wants to use a short range skill or something like that. Canoa Flip, also very basic attack, also very short range, needs to move up close. Nothing too special to say about it. It is pretty high power, but no multi-hit or nothing super interesting. It does cost the root aggregate, which is nice. Then we have Deep Breath. This one hits for a maximum of 18 times, so it doesn't matter if it's like hitting, it looks like just some of them are hitting or it's missing half the skill, as long as it's getting those 18 hits, which it will do most of the time. It's not really an issue. It's just that it caps at 18, which brings it down a little bit in terms of DPS. If it had a little bit of a higher gap maybe, or a higher cap there, so you'll see it looks like it's missing, but then it sort of like tilts up and starts hitting those 18 shots, then the damage disappears because it has hit all those 18. But still, decent damage on it. High Breach, pretty fun skill. Does this sort of breach where it goes up, and then when it lands it deals 10% damage. So just a little bit more damage than the tooltip implies. And it's also, I don't know, pretty fun, causes the freeze aggregate, but not super strong. Quite a high cooldown, and it does bring the pal really close to the enemy, which is nice in some cases, and not so nice when you're fighting stuff with Airblade or Rock Burst or something like that. Dash Kick, it's just the standard kicking skill. I think Dasimu has kind of the same one, just running in close and giving a little kick. Same thing there, you probably don't want to use it against something like Sai and Celine or Björn and Bastigor, just because of these like melee skills. And just Grass Pals don't tend to pair well with Rock Burst themselves. Then we have Smoke Jet. Pretty funny, it does a 1% damage hit with the actual smoke, so you'll see some smoke hits hitting for like 2 to 5 damage, and then it does the little tackle similar to Penking. Sometimes it misses by just going underneath, like there. Overall, very simple skill. Chaotic Spray, 15% chance to send that missile that you just saw there, otherwise it's just the 3 grenades. And I was thinking it would multi-hit Victor with the 3 grenades, but 90% of the time it just hit the one center grenade. Victor needed to like move into the other grenades, so overall not super useful there. Then including Thalassonic Laser, already tested this one, but it's also part of these exclusive skills. It hits with those 3 beams that then have explosions, massive animations. It's gonna overheat your PC if you're using it in a raid army. Then I thought I'd also include a little bit with these spears. When you have the partner skill, or the partner skill is that it shoots spears when you shoot. Now these spears only hit for 3.5 power. So if you like Aqua Gun and stuff like that, you got 30 power, 40 power. This one is hitting for 3.5. So not a very useful partner skill at all. But Thalassonic Laser is very strong and very cool. It just suffers from having a pretty long animation time. And ending with the coolest one, the best one, saving the best for last, Trigger Happy. So I included, that was not Trigger Happy, the first one, this is Trigger Happy. So I included the Aqua Burst, because Aqua Burst is 100 power, and you will see that they hit for almost the same. So Trigger Happy is 115, and it does not have any reductions at all. So it's basically just 7 Aqua Bursts with 15% more power. So you'll see Aqua Burst around 300, and then just 7 of these bullets, dealing more damage than Aqua Burst does. So it's just an insane amount of potential damage. So here are the stats. First, we're going to bring up Victor and Björn. So party pals have a built-in 60% CT reduction, which brings them all down very low. So all the skills that had a CT lower than 12, I brought back up to 12 just to show what they will do in a normal kind of skill loop scenario DPS, because going below 12 doesn't have any effect unless you're removing skills. So you probably don't want to remove skills. It depends a little bit. You could do some tests and see which ones might be worth running just 1 or 2 skills, but for now 12 is the baseline. Some of them went down to 6, but that's pretty much meaningless in terms of DPS. So against Victor, Holy Burst is still king, but you'll see Trigger Happy is actually beating Thalassonic Laser, and it has a shorter animation time and also a shorter cooldown time. So it just works out really well with that 12. It's gonna be almost perfectly looping depending on what you set it up with. Deep Breath also pretty good, and also not a super long cooldown time. And then most of the other ones are way down there. I included some of the best skills just to compare, like Blast Cannon, Wall Splash, Airblade, and Holy Burst in this. Give you sort of an idea of how these skills work. And overall, you'll see that they're way down there, like below 20% damage. So really, Deep Breath, kind of interesting one. Trigger Happy and Thalassonic Laser, those are the main 3 here. And you'll see that against Björn, where you can't get this insane holy bursting damage, and Blast Cannon doesn't multi-hit and stuff like that the same way. Trigger Happy, Deep Breath, and Thalassonic Laser actually end up doing an incredible amount of damage. So it's mostly about these animation times that might bring them down. Deep Breath needing to move in close and stuff like that. Then we also have to compare against raid bosses. So this is against Xenolord's hitbox. Holy Burst will not hit Libro for this sort of damage. Blast Cannon won't hit Libro at all, so this is against Xenolord and Rio's type of hitbox. Now base pals get a 20% CT increase, so I'm assuming that people are running Serenity on base pals, so the CT in this is with that 20% increase, and then Serenity on top of that. So you will see that these skills are above that sort of 12 limit. Maybe not smoked yet, but that one is what it is. I forgot to change it. So Trigger Happy against raid bosses seems to be super strong. Now this pal doesn't have super high attack, but probably makes up for it with these kind of lunkers and everything we can build with it now. Deep Breath again looking pretty good. Chaotic Spray somehow making it up there, but the rest of them are still way down there. So for these exclusive skills, I wouldn't really breed any pals specifically for them, except for the Braloha, the Neptilius, and this little Finsider and Finsider Ignis. It's both pals have the same one here. It's not like Gangler, which got a fire version. They're both using the water version. So I was a little bit surprised by these stats, so I had to go in and double check. Just comparing Beam Slicer and a Hydro Slicer, the Beam Slicer copy, and look at that damage. So Wall Splash is one of the highest damage skills in the game. Hydro Slicer, just like Beam Slicer, also one of the highest skilled damage skills in the game. You can just see this Trigger Happy absolutely bursting down this Cyan Selene. So I will be making some sort of showcase with this pal, finding the best builds. Gonna be doing a lot of tests with Lunker, especially with the attacking whistles, with the water whistles. A lot of testing to be done for this pal specifically. Maybe checking how much impact Serenity will have. You'll see here it's using a lot of filler skills. This one did not have Serenity. This is pure attack Finsider. So there's a lot of testing to be done on this. Just wanted to highlight just how good this skill is. So thank you for watching.